Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of Super Metal Brothers Review. I am Super Metal Brother Max.
And I'm Super my brother Dane.
Today, betraying the Martyrs with the album Rapture. This band we have on the show before. We've talked about this show on a podcast that we had a little while ago. This band, it's a French metal band. It's deathcore, it's metalcore, it's somewhere in between at times. But we enjoyed the previous outings. This band, Danny, what could you say that reflects your emotions around it?
Emotions? Oh, geez, very in depth. I was just surprised being a metalcore band that it wasn't so just reliant on breakdowns and like chunky riffs. They actually have a bit of like storytelling, if I can say that, and a bit of like synth work, and it was a bit more atmospheric.
Decent production, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but you're right. The key note to talk about here is for this deathcore band is the use of symphonic elements and also that metalcore elements of the choruses, particularly the singing, which we'll get into a little bit later. These guys have been around for a little while as well, so they're definitely seasoned veterans getting into it now at the moment as well. And a recommendation there with their previous albums, but how does Rapture line up against some of the other heavy-hitting albums that they've got? Well, let's talk about it right now, Danny. What are some of the things that grabbed you about this album?
Yes, I think what we said probably 2 years ago when we reviewed the last album still hold up true, is that I really like the fact that they used the synth and to create a bit of atmosphere. They're not just relying on just chunky breakdowns to sell songs. They are making it slightly different to what I would consider to be standard metalcore songs. And they do break it up nicely with like some nice gent riffs and some nice good guitar lines there to help you move the song on as well. So yeah, I think it's good. It gives more depth, which for people who aren't fully into metalcore, it's great because if you're trying to transition, or if you still like, I guess, more of a symphonic element, you actually found a band which can do both, which is, I think, quite rare.
Absolutely. It firstly starts off at the intro with Ignite. Now, this is pretty much a nice way to get things into it. It's pretty common now these days to have it starting off.
Like
it just seems like thrash metal are the only ones who have the balls to just start the album off, you know? Anything else is like, nah, we're going to slowly get you accustomed to what we're going to be playing. Now, the second track, technically, the first actual track of the album, Eternal Machines, is something that actually surprised me. It's a heavy song. It's got a great groovy intro. It sounded pretty cool at the start. And when we get the chorus later on, the problems we have with the previous album was the singing was because it had the good cop, bad cop, and the good cop should really be the growling because he's awesome.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, when you a good cop, bad cop. Yeah,
because the screamer, growler, the chanter, whatever you want to call it, this guy's amazing, right? And then they have the keyboardist, I think, doing the clean vocals, and it's just a little, it's okay. It services the job pretty fine, but when you have the best steak in the world and you follow it over with the most mediocre ice cream, it does take the middle of it, doesn't it?
It's true. I agree. I think, should we talk more about it now? Should we wait to the end?
Oh, no, we'll move on to what we like about it more, because really it goes from track 2, which is a very strong, solid track. They even have a film clip for it, so they're obviously proud of it, and they should be. Moving into the songs Down and Iron Gates, which are, again, good tracks. In fact, Iron Gates being one of my favourite off the album, but my actual favourite coming a little bit later, Danny. What do you feel about these next 2 tracks coming up?
Yeah, so for track 4 is probably top 2 off the album. For me, it's great because it's heavier. It puts in like double kicks and triplets in there, which again I don't think are really standard for metalcore.
Well, the Iron Gate starts off with that deathcore sound that bands like Conquering Dystopia, or more importantly Keith Merritt, are kind of innovating as well. There's a couple other guys that are doing it in the industry as well. It's very kind of technical, but it's also very groovy. They don't lose that groove in it, but there's so much going on with those kind of riffs. Really, you can really salivate in those lots of different notes and stuff, but it's still grounded. It's not just wank for the sake of wank.
Yeah, but then they also add like a choir, which is new, a bit of piano.
Yep.
Solo medley, whatever you call it there as well.
The editing of the pianos is really nice. Got some arpeggio sections, which really do well to contrast and really help the sadness of the song, especially the way these guys bridge certain verses into the choruses and stuff like that. Their taglines are really clever, so it's really, really smart stuff. Big palm mutes, some time signature changes as well in this track 4, Iron Gates.
Time signature changes as well.
Yeah, I think I found towards the end there was something going on there. I was like, good stuff. Moving into Parasite and The Sound of Letting You Go. Now this is where the album for me hits something. I think this is the power of letting, The Sound of Letting You Go wasn't really my thing, but Parasite was kind of like the next secured song in the album. After that, I found that The Sound of Letting You Go, it wasn't too bad, the verse and stuff like that. It has a little bit of an emotional punch, and there's a Slipknot-y kind of breakdown in the song as well. But not even the guitar scripts really save it. The track's just fine, but there's nothing that grabs me like the other tracks. Like with the other tracks, you've got elements in it that really get you involved in that track, whether it be the awesome production with the symphonic elements, the great work on the guitars, or the incredibly beefy singing. This is where the album for me hit a track which I was not really, none of those elements could save the song, you know what I mean? How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I think track 5 I thought was really good as well. But the track 6, I said, I made some good notes here saying it's yeah, I mean, it's the first guitar solo you get, so again, it's not like the most technical guitar solo, but I felt like it was needed.
Doesn't need it to be,
the song, and I think that's all fair. But then they do a bit more work here with, again, back to the electronic effects, which I guess there might be some sort of theme. Seeing the second track's called like Electric Messiah or something, or whatever it's called. So there's some sort of like themes with the electronic vocals put in there as well.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of a heavy thrash section after the melodic section, again, that whole dichotomy they throw in, which goes well with the synths and the growls and the melodic singing. So yeah, I thought it was not too bad.
The album's still got some good tracks going into the end of it with Monster as well. It's a great little sick riff to start. It really reminded me of Nevermore's Inside Four Walls kind of thing. I really dug it. I thought that was really good. If you're going to use Nevermore in your album, it's always going to be a favourite for me. There's a hint some gang vocals, which actually return later in the song. It's really clever stuff, and there's a really big unapologetic gent sections as well, which are really showing the sign of the times that these guys are aware of what's going on, but also incorporating in a way that makes it their own. Going into the last two tracks though, 9 and 10. So the last three tracks, sorry. The 9 and 10 for me were a little bit of filler. It wasn't my favorite, only maybe because they were overshadowed by the very last track, which is Rapture. And this track is phenomenal. This track here is them taking a risk where 9 and 10 fail to really secure themselves at separating from the rest of the album. Track 10 does so and obliterates it. It's got just such a home in so many genres. You know, you can hear some of those more like death metal elements to the deathcore, to death metal. Even black metal comes up with symphonic black metal. It is a great track. It is risky. It has a certain energy and vibe that really lifts the album, and a way to finish is very, very strong. And I really do recommend this as my favorite track off the album, Danny. That does close it up. What do you think of the last track before we get into it?
Yeah, so track 10 I agree. Track 10 wasn't fantastic. Incarcerated, sorry. That was they had like a heavy section in the middle which kind of saves it, but you can't wait for one part of a song to save a song.
Yeah, no, Incarcerated, yeah, you're right.
So I wasn't too fan of that. Yeah, Rapture again is I think it was only failed by the fact that they had to still keep the metalcore part of it, and they still had to do like a little breakdown section or like those type of Jenny riffs in it. I thought if that song didn't have that, it'd be an even better song than it was.
Yeah.
Because I guess they had to stick to their whole genre, then they had to put those elements in. But you're right, apart from it was fantastic. Like creating the atmosphere, the song progression, how it was written, how it was telling a story. I was really surprised. It was actually a very good song. So for me, again, it's a personal taste. If they kept out that like break down genty part, then for me it would have been a better song. But of course that's their style, so they put it in. But it's still a great song. But
we definitely hope to help wake up other fans who are probably just into metalcore. This track could actually, you could see them maybe departing that and opening their palette a little bit. So the good on the album, well, honestly, first up, right to the point, this is a great sounding album as well. It feels very organic in the sense that it feels like a really good play. It's not too overproduced, but the production value is great because there's a lot of things like the symphonic elements working alongside heavy guitars, working alongside not only clean but heavy singing as well. Danny, drums, obviously, there's blast beats, there's grooves, there's a lot going too.
Yeah, definitely right. I mean, it is also, I guess, quite deep at times. I think the whole drop D tuning, is that what it's called?
I'm not sure. It gets pretty low. Yeah, but it's a low album.
Because it's low at times, it can get muddied, you know, because it is too low to distinguish between like the bass guitars and everything. But look, apart from that, the rest of it's quite
now
nice.
the good things. The Good Cop or the Scream Cop, he is phenomenal. He's one of the best metal albums vocalists we reviewed probably this year. He just has such a passion for it and such an amount of varieties using his style as well. The screams, the growls, the beckoning hollows, everything. There's everything he does in that angry tone is just phenomenal. So much conviction and so much passion going into his work, and he should really be credited for it.
Yeah, no, he's great. Yeah, the power and, like you said, the conviction, his delivery is amazing, and it goes well with the parts of the song where he sings over.
Obviously, great tracks like Iron Gates and Rapture, phenomenal tracks. Guitar solos are great. There's a little bit of technique, but always working for the song and not just showcasing or showboating. And I really must give credit to some of the orchestrations, particularly the string elements and the pianos, using contrast to help bring in the sadder times with the choruses or whatever. That's right, yeah. Just from stop being angry. So really giving the listener a chance to kind of move with the song. Bad, Danny? The same thing that had the flaw of the previous albums, and I think the one thing that's just kind of taints it a little bit for me.
Yeah, the clean vocalist is, unfortunately, look, he's in tone and he's in tune and his pitching's fine.
Yeah.
It's just that when you got such like a strong, heavy weighted scream and growler, the guy who sees the melodic stuff doesn't have that strong power behind him.
Now track 2 was interesting because he used a very great register in that song. It's all the other songs where he comes in with clean singing, where it's more falsetto, but a little bit higher, a lot softer, and a lot more, dare I say it, prettier sounding, which really is tough sometimes to hear that jarring nature. However, I will say definitely that with the second track, The Eternal, I think it was. No, sorry, I think that was right. Yeah,
Machine, I think.
Yeah, that was a really, really interesting work for it. I thought that was really, really good. Yeah, The Eternal Machine. I thought his register for that was very, very good. But there was a singer in The Incarcerated, and he felt very exposed because there's that falsetto, that real soft note that pop music is really bad for. Like, they can't hit the notes, so they do that head voice, the talking. And then
falsetto.
Now that thing, and he just shows how that he's a little bit out of his element when it comes to that register. It's very poppy in that sense as well. But aside from that, man, the only real nitpick I can give is some of the formula showed its spots a little too much towards the end of the album.
Yeah,
like 10 and 9. Those
even
tracks
7.
There. Even 7 you could argue as well. Yeah. But aside from that, minor nitpicks aside, which I think deathcore, metalcore fans won't have a problem with, and why should you?
Yeah, because
if you like awesome and you want it more awesome, then that's awesome. Yeah. It's just for me, it did sound a little too familiar, and this is definitely not my style of genre. But overall, Danny, we can honestly say this is a good experience.
Yeah, no, it's still good. They're consistent. Like from the last album, this album is good. Like consistently good. Their songs are, again, great atmospheres, given great contrast between the heavy and the melodic.
Yeah.
And look, that's one thing where the melodic scene can kind of save himself, is that when they go melodic, it is still like a minor feel and a sad feel.
Yeah.
It goes this tones with an angsty tone. Sure, it might not be delivered with power, but the tone sometimes matches it. So that's kind of the saving grace with his voice. But again, it's just a problem. It's something so powerful and something so like not powerful. It's too jarring, anyway.
Yeah, look, aside from 2 tracks for me, this is a great experience. Once again, the track Rapture, check it out. Iron Gates, check it out. Eternal Machine, also a great track as well. They got itself a little lively kind of film clip for it as well. It's there was some risk taken on this album, which is great. A little bit more, it would have been even better. Danny, final thoughts and your recommendation and your number for the album.
Well, my number is a 6.5 because again, there's only really 2 standout songs. The rest of it was kind of some repeat formula, and there wasn't enough really like ultra great riffs or sections for me to really be engaged upon. Like I wouldn't go back to this album.
Yeah.
So that's why I only gave it 6.5. If you're a metalcore fan or Betraying Martyrs fan, you'd probably give it higher, and that's probably fair because if that's the style you like and this the band is. I don't think it was disappointing you.
Yeah.
That's why I gave
I'm going to give this a solid 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah,
and for that reason, Danny, I think for me, there are a lot of things that I can really strongly recommend. And even though it wasn't for me, and I probably won't return to it, I can definitely recommend this one here for other people. I might even go back and listen to the tracks Iron Gates and Rapture to see if I loved them as much as I did the first couple of times I heard them. But it's a strong recommendation. If you're a deathcore, metalcore fan, this is really an album you should get into. Even kids of the whole wave of the new metal thing or whatever, or groove metal, like the Machine Head style as well, American heavy metal, whatever. This is an album you should check out. It's decent, it's very strong. It's got great elements of all the things that pop metal can do, and death metal and metalcore.
And they're French as well, so I heard like 1 or 2 Gojira riffs in there. So there must be a crossover, and that's a cool cover. I give credit. That's actually that new fad, which is got that dyeing technique where they get the wall and they cover all the different coloured paints on top and they dip things in.
Yeah,
that look to it. So they keep up with the time. Man.
So what did you guys think of the album? Make sure you leave it in the comments below. We're sure to check them every day, every week, because we love to know what you guys have to think about it.
Yeah, hopefully they're more positive.
We're thinking positive of the album, so I can't imagine people wouldn't like this album. It's just impossible to think. And
in the words of Betraying the Martyrs, hide the truth. The future's bleak. I refuse. Do you believe?
With that, I am Super Metal Brother Matt.
And I'm Super Metal Brother Dane.
We have been the Super Metal Brothers. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next episode.